Welcome, everybody, to a developer interview. I myself am Tad Risen, better known as Riptide, through the Aquatik Studios and Esports Network. I am here as a guest today with my friend Richard Holloman, who is the head developer of Ghost of Hollow Creek. And Richard and I just recently actually did a Twitch stream where not only did we show off Ghost of Hollow Creek, but we were able to show off a bunch of gameplay and a lot of the characters in the game that you can custom create on Twitch. Um, but also to mention here, you can also get that demo. It is out currently on itch.io. Just search Ghost of Hollow Creek and you will find the game there to play for free. Again, it's just a demo. The game will be out relatively shortly. But one of the most exciting things about Ghost Hollow Creek is that Aquatic is launching a publishing initiative, and Richard and Ghost of Hollow Creek will be our first game. And Richard, how do you feel about coming on board for this exciting adventure?
I feel great about being a part of this journey. I started off as a client of Aquatik Studio because I'm a software developer by trade. So I know how to build the game, but I have no idea how to do anything else that goes around publishing, marketing, none of that stuff. I just don't know it. So I was like, okay, I need to hire a professional. So I looked up Aquatic Studio, and I was like, okay, they don't require a $25,000 plus budget, so maybe I can go with them. And I just really enjoyed working with you all, and really excited about the publishing. Really more than any other reason, just I can get that story out in front of more people, get that experience out in front of more people. I really want to, people to enjoy this. I want it to be a fun experience for people.
I agree, and I think that especially we were even just showcasing again the game the other night on Twitch, and we were getting a lot of great questions. Um, just from the audience, and they seem really excited. And I think one of the really great and important things about this is that you're a software developer by day, and so kind of outside the entertainment world of games, you're part of the working class, people, and by doing software every day and working in it. And so I think that really goes a long way to show that your blood, sweat, and tears is really going into this by using your spare time in order to create this title, and that it's actually like a really true piece of art. And so I think that might be really inspiring to people watching this or people who saw on the stream the other night.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that because that's the truth. There's nothing special about what I'm doing. I don't have any game development experience, properly. I know how to do software, but that's it. I've never created a game before, but I've been a gamer all my life, and like a lot of people, I just love video games. And there's the my quote unquote magic formula is just that I put in just a little bit of time each day, and I just try to be consistent with that. And over time, it seems to have been building something um, that I can say is uniquely mine.
For all the software and tech people out there, what Richard, what languages do you code in?
Java mostly, um, and some C++, though I try to avoid it. Um, but yeah, mostly Java and a lot of Angular, JavaScript sort of stuff.
Now, Richard, for any of these novice out there like myself who are not software developers or engineers, or game developers for that matter too, did you use any of these things in the development of your game?
Yes, actually, it's funny. I'm using a lot of the tools that I use in my daily job. I use Visual Studio Code because there's a lot of plugins that I had to write to get the sort of behavior that I wanted in this game. So I use the Visual Studio Code, which is the same tool I use at work. I use GitHub as my repository, which is the same thing I do at work. It's just funny how many of the little things that I took for granted in my day job I'm now using for this. So it looks like it paid off a little bit.
And for all you folks out there who are software developers and inspiring developers, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people who are coming home at night and turn on their Xbox or PlayStation or their PC, and just they turn on and they think, man, I really wish I could do this myself. And um, by seeing you, Richard, being able to do this, it's tangible. It's being able to know that here's somebody else who, goes to work, puts in the grind, but not only can put out a good game, but a game of quality, polish, um, and even work with a publisher. Then it makes it tangible, and I think it really is a call to action for people who really want to do this. That it shows that if you put in the work, that you really can do this. Let's reel it back a little bit. And Richard, I know there was a lot of things we were talking earlier about how some of the things that help you not only inspire the story, but your background in writing. And so, can you tell us a little bit more about that and what kind of inspired you to get to where we are now?
Certainly. Um, when I went to college, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be the world's greatest writer, so I'm going to be an English major. And I got my degree in English, and I did a lot of writing, but I was very poor, and I didn't publish anything. And I was like, oh wow, this was a really bad idea. So I went back and did computer science. Um, but what is interesting is that within about the last 10 years or so, I kind of rediscovered that passion for literature, poetry in particular, and I picked that up again. And I've had some luck actually now publishing some stuff, some poetry on the side. But what was really interesting was though is um, the story that I was telling throughout all these poems and stuff, literature that I was writing. It seemed like there was a common thread over time, and I just didn't really have the right platform. And I kind of realized now that recently my wife was like, "Okay, well, you have the story. Why don't you tell it through a video game? You always play video games. You play too many video games, if you ask me." But and I was like, "Okay, sure." And I found that this feels like the right platform for that story I was trying to tell, all this time. So it is kind of interesting how something that I thought was a really bad idea back then is actually turned out to kind of work out for the better.
Yeah, and I mean, Richard, I mean, heck, I've been there myself with school and thinking I was going to be on one path, and actually, even funny enough, through years of live performance as a musician, I learned a lot about production, and then come kind of life as funny as it is, kind of comes full circle, and here I am. Learning a lot of those skills that I learned kind of behind the scenes with music, now running even an interview like this or some of the tournaments that we do here at Aquatic. So, Richard, you had just also said that, made reference to, going to school for writing and being a poet. And do you mind getting into telling us a little bit more about the story of the game?
Yeah, sure. The story of the game is it's basically about this group of friends who they grew up in the same hometown, but they left it years ago, each for personal reasons. They each had kind of like their demons that they were struggling with, and they left that behind them. But what they kind of discover years later on is that they also left behind things they cared about as well, people they cared about. And they learn that they get news that this hometown is now under attack, and they're kind of reluctantly go back, knowing that they have to face their personal demons going back there, but they also have to do this for the ones they care about. And so that's kind of where that's the real thrust of the story, and how that kind of plays out, and just um, it just kind of the consequences of some of their choices, as there are multiple endings in the story that reflect consequences of certain choices.
Yeah, and I know on the Twitch stream, we had a Twitch stream the other night, and I, played a little bit of the game, and of course, there's that great demo at itch.io. Ghost Hollows Creek for anybody out there who wants to play. Um, but I've seen a lot. There's a lot of custom character creation, and it seems like there's a lot of different class and like skill sets. Do you mind going and touching in on what you can do with your characters?
There are I've added a lot more characters since the demo because I want well over 100. I want hundreds actually of choices for faces and so forth because I wanted male, female options, non-binary options. Just I want a lot of choices for the player because that's what I like. And for the classes, the classes are not gender locked. They're totally independent. So you don't have to worry about, okay, well, I can only be a female sorceress. I can't be a male sorcerer, sort of thing. There are 12 classes, and I really wanted to design them so that each one kind of served a different purpose and also felt different. And for example, one problem that I wanted to address that I see in some games is, for example, fire mage, ice mage, lightning mage, sort of thing. They're all the same except for just different graphics, and I didn't want that. In this game, the fire mage is your damage dealer. Your ice mage is deals some, far less damage, but their purpose is more defensive and kind of and the lightning caster is more about debuffs than so much raw damage, like the way the fire starter is. So they each serve a different purpose. Plus, the ice mage is a pet class in this game. So I just wanted each of them to turn out differently. And one thing I'd like to mention, my personal favorite, is the gambler. Uh,
So I was just about to bring this up. I'll let you explain it, but when it come up on the screen, I was just like, wow, this is not something you like. What a cool mechanic! And so when we got off the stream, I remember talking to everybody else in the studio. I was like, did anybody else see that? Because I mean, it was such a great mechanic. But Richard, go ahead and explain it for everybody out there what I'm referring to.
yes, one of the mechanics of the gambler is cards. They basically play it's real simple because I didn't want it to interfere, slow down the combat. It's just basically if you've ever played the card game of war, you draw a card, you draw a card, your opponent draws a card, whoever has the higher card wins. And that's just that's one of the skills that a gambler can use. But before they execute the skill though, they can gamble a portion of their health as damage. If they win, they do that damage plus their luck score to the enemy. But if they lose, they take a portion of that damage that they put up as stakes, so to speak. So with the gambler, I wanted a sense of um, kind of risk versus reward sort of thing. That yes, you can do a ton amount of damage, you can do really cool things, but if things go sour, you can also suffer consequences for it too.
Yeah, one of the other really cool features that you have in the game, and I'm going to jump back slightly to the character development and the stories. Um, but you had told me a story about something you had saw on Twitch. I'll let you get more into it, but you can actually uh, create your main NPC love interest also along with your main character as like the story develops and. That's a really unique thing to have in the game. You don't really see things like that. So, but I mean, I'll let you get more into it.
Yes, thank you very much for bringing that up because that's actually a feature that when I was in early development, I got a lot of positive feedback on was the notion that you can create you determine what your love interest looks like in this game. Is it a he, she, non-binary? It's your choice. So if you're a female player, you're not stuck playing a male character with a female romantic interest. So that's definitely a key feature. And the reason why I even put in that mechanic is that love story is central to the game story. So I wanted it to really resonate with the player. I didn't want to force. my idea of romance on somebody else. I wanted them to kind of help define what works for them, what appeals to them.
And I think that the game presents a lot of exclusivity. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that correctly. But being able to have those options again, and not feel like you're just getting the developer's story, but it's actually your story that you're experiencing as as a player. And I think it's great that the whole industry is kind of moving that direction and that you're getting such positive feedback. But one of the other things that I would like to focus on here is, where, is the mechanics, and this is a hard throwback to those old school JRPGs. I'm looking at you, Final Fantasy VI, and or Final Fantasy 3 here in the United States, if we're talking Super Nintendo. But Final Fantasy 6 and Chrono Trigger, and so again, these games are such classics, but they are old. And so, Richard, I feel like you put such a fresh twist on very similar mechanics, to where not only do you feel at home, like you're playing your beloved classics, but you are also playing something new and original. So let's get into a little bit of the mechanics.
Yeah, the battle system is like you said, definitely true to Final Fantasy VI. It's turn based, um, but the thing that really kind of separates it is the skills for the classes um, are not just a straight skill. A lot of times, there are skills that build up to other skills. Um, for example, the fire starter, they have a skill called Fuel the Fire. And what it is it does a little bit of damage, but it adds a debuff, making the enemy less resistant to fire. So they stack these up, and then as they stack up, they can also execute more powerful um, spells to take advantage of that. And then there are some other ones. Um, the Saint, oh, the Firestarter also has. They can transform into a more powerful being. Like the Firestarter has the Fire Paragon that they can transform into, and that opens up other abilities that they can use just as a Fire Paragon. They can grant all sorts of stuff to play with. The Saint, which is also a fun one, is they can turn into this powerful kind of golden warrior, and their attacks now heal the party. So it's kind of like a life leech for the entire group. So just a lot of things like that I put in there so that the turn based wouldn't be just simply okay, attack, 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 and you just keep clicking auto attack, and it's boring. I really wanted it to um, to be more interactive, where you can um, excuse me, kind of like choose out strategies to build up skills, open up other skills, customize it. Yes, thank you. And also, the assassin can create items during battle, so it's actually a little weird. Yeah, she can. I mean, I say she because I'm used to playing it as a she, but he or she, they like for example create traps during the battle that they can only do during battle, and then they can use those, or other party members can use those items that they just created. So like uh, the sun trap is particularly effective for crowd control and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it's I don't know, it's fantastic to me. I mean, I'm just such a big fan of that '90s JRPG, even though your game is made in the West, but like it fits right at home in that category with the classics like Final Fantasy VI. So as we're wrapping up here, I just wanted I want the audience to really kind of take home that we were touching on this earlier in the interview, that you're a normal guy. You go to work, you put in your time, and you come home, and you make games, and through this you actually I think have created a very passionate and creative piece of art here. And what are some things that you would like to leave with the audience as they like I mean, the fact that you've not only made a game, a very polished game for that matter, that has great mechanics, and being signed to a publisher. I mean, what are some things that you would like to leave with the audience?
My words would be that it it is my it's my honest belief that everybody has something that they can bring, whether it's a story or an idea that is unique just to them. And in my mind, that's what really sells. That's what makes the new AAA game. That's what makes the new breakout game. That's like nothing else because that person, it's unique to that person. Only they could create that game. Um, so I think that's what I would like to impart people that if you're willing to put in the time for it, you're not afraid to just like not do what's popular, but just do what is unique to you. What appeals to you as your individual self. And if you can get that stamp on whatever it is that you create, a game, poetry, book, whatever it is, I think that you will find success in one of its forms. I honestly believe that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And when we were on like a planning call um, a little bit earlier, kind of discussing what we kind of wanted to talk about in the interview. Um, I had mentioned that I had played in a band, and one of the things that I believe I told you was, I didn't play top 40 music or what was popular. For me, it was I wrote music that I wanted to listen to. And so I think you're saying the same thing about these developers of like, a developer should make a game that they want to play, who then maybe encourages another developer to make a game or to work on one or to go work on their passion, who then maybe inspires another person. And so, and then the train keeps continuing. And so, um, I just think it's wonderful and that we just need more pieces of art. And I think Ghost of Hollow Creek really kind of supplies that beautiful, all inclusive,
Thank you very much.
just game and art. And so I think it really resonates in that RPG space that's kind of been needing for a classic, but also something that's fresh and new. So as we're wrapping up here, Richard, where can everybody find you?
They can currently find it on itch.io. If they do a search for Ghosts of Hollow Creek, they'll find it, but they could also find it on my page, Richard Holloman, on itch.io. Uh, just to be fair, it is an older version of the game. It was back when it was in alpha a couple of months ago, so it doesn't have all the coolest features that it has now, but it will definitely give you a chance to play with some of the things that are unique to the game, like the customization and some of the classes, etc., etc.
Yeah, it'll give actually people something to look forward to with the newer version of the demo coming out. Not to mention the full-fledged game that's coming very, very soon. No date to announce just yet, but also keep your eyes if for any of you folks that are fans of Steam, keep your eye out over there. It will also pop up under Ghost of Hollow Creek. And if you look up the Aquatik Studios as a publisher, you'll not only see Richard's game of Ghost Hollow Creek, but you'll see hopefully a few others at that time too. So, but again, no date as of now. The older demo currently available on itch.io with a new demo on the way. And the full release coming very, very soon. So I want to appreciate everybody for coming out again and just watching the interview, whether it be on a social or on YouTube. But I am Ted Risen or Riptide. You can find me on anything either front or behind the camera with Aquatik Studios or Aquatik Esports, where you can find me on Riptide_Aquatic on Twitter. This is Richard Holloman, the head developer of Ghost of Hollow Creek, and you can find his demo currently on itch.io. And go try it, folks. It's a free demo. Game is coming out very soon. Thank you for watching, and keep your eyes open for the game. Take care.